after today, you will know every single thing that you need to know about the subjunctive, and there is nothing else that you will need to learn about the subjunctive. So that is super exciting. We're going to be doing the present perfect subjunctive right now. So hopefully I have drilled it into your head by now. If you see this word perfect, you know that that means the verb haber, right? It's always going to mean haber. And because it's the present perfect, that means that haber is going to mean have or has done something. So in order to use the present perfect subjunctive, first of all, you have to have a trigger because you have the subjunctive. So you have to have a trigger, and then it has to be something that you would normally say have or has. So you have to have some type of context that something has already happened, or some people have already done something. So there has to be some context of something happening before something else. And again, you have to have a trigger. So, since it's a subjunctive, we're using the verb haber. We need the subjunctive form of haber. You may or may not remember it. It is very similar to the subjunctive of ir. So, yo haya, tú hayas, él, ella, usted haya, nosotros hayamos, ellos, ellas, ustedes hayan. And just like all of the other perfect forms, it's always followed by the past participle, which of course is auto or ido, unless it's irregular, abierto, cubierto, dicho, hecho, all of those fun ones. Okay, so if you start a sentence in the present tense, but you're talking about something that already happened, you're going to use the present perfect subjunctive. So, for example, here, I'm sorry is in the present tense. That you lost your dog, lost is in the past tense. So I'm starting my sentence in the present tense, but I'm talking about the past, and so I have to use the present perfect subjunctive. So, I'm sorry is a subjunctive trigger. It's an emotion. Hopefully you remember how to say that. So I'm sorry is siento que. That you lost your dog in the present perfect tense. So you is going to be hayas. And then we need the past participle of the verb to lose. To lose is perder. So the past participle of perder is going to be perdido. Tu perro. Literally what this says is, I'm sorry that you have lost your dog. But really you would just say, I'm sorry you lost your dog. But in Spanish, because you're starting in the present but talking about the past, you have to use the present perfect. Hopefully that makes sense. Siento que hayas perdido tu perro. Okay, and then the very last one is going to be the past perfect subjunctive. Again, perfect always meaning the verb bear. Because it's past, we know that it's going to mean had. And again, in order to use the past perfect subjunctive, we have to have a subjunctive trigger. So wedding or one of the conjunctions, we have to have a trigger. And we have to have something that happened before something else that had happened. So in order to form the past perfect subjunctive, we have to have the past subjunctive of haber. And remember, to form the past subjunctive, you take the ellos, ellas, ustedes, and the preterite, take off the ron, and add ra, ras, ra, ramos, ron. Haber is irregular in the preterite. Remember, haber, ube. So the ellos, ellas, ustedes of haber is hubieron. So we're going to take hubieron, take off the ron, and add ra, ras, ra, ramos, ron. So yo hubiera, tú hubieras, él, ella, usted hubiera, nosotros hubiéramos. And then remember, right before ramos, there's always going to be an accent, whatever's right before ramos. So hubiéramos on the nosotros. And then ellos, ellas, ustedes hubieran. And again, because it's the perfect tense, it's always going to be followed by the past participle, which is auto or ido. So, before 1969, there was no one who had walked on the moon. We have had, which means it's going to be the past perfect, and there was no one. So this is a negative statement. So remember, if you are saying that something doesn't or didn't exist, and you are certain that it doesn't or didn't exist, then you have to use the subjunctive. So, before 1969, antes de 1969, there was no one who. So, no, and then there was no one is no había nadie que. That's my subjunctive trigger. And now, since it's had walked, I have to use the past perfect subjunctive of to walk. So, hubiera caminado en la luna. Unless you're one of those people who thinks that the moon landing was a total hoax, in which case this is totally irrelevant. Anywho, antes de 1969 no había nadie que hubiera caminado en la luna. There was no one who had walked on the moon. So just make sure that you have a subjunctive trigger, and then that you're either saying had in the past tense or have or has in the present tense. Gracias.